What's up, guys? It's your boy Zowoki, back out with another of the Chris Watts videos. Now, again, I don't necessarily believe in every single theory that is about this case. I'm obviously looking at every single thing and possibly putting my 2 cents on it if I believe it or not. That is you to take it with what you will and decide, yeah, I agree, or no, I totally do not agree with Zowoki. So, another theory that's been out there is that Shanann was the only one that was supposed to be murdered, which again is very unfortunate, very monstrous of Chris to even think about, and is unacceptable to begin with. But the theory is that the girls, Bella, Celeste, were never supposed to be harmed. Now, again, I have no idea if that is credible or not. The unfortunate still outcome of this case is that the whole family was annihilated by this man's hand. Now, we're going to be watching this Chris Watts murder theory number 2 to see if this is even plausible. But again, you take it what you will and decide your opinions and summarize it yourself in the comments down below. But before we go any further, if you guys could do me a favor, is subscribe to the YouTube channel by hitting that white bar icon down at the bottom right. Hit the bell icon next to it. So when I do post videos like this one, you guys will get that little ring notification that I posted that video. And then you guys can watch, comment, like, and share. And again, I thank you guys so very much for that continued love and support that you guys show on this channel every single day. I can't thank you guys enough. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and we'll continue to keep growing together. Speaking of growth, check out the link in the description for this channel called Truth Untold. I've watched quite a bit of their stuff already. I'm definitely very enjoying their stuff, and I think you guys would too. So link is down in the description. Click on it, watch their stuff, subscribe, comment, like, and share. You guys know the deal. And with that being said, let's get into this theory.
Here is theory number 2 in my series of videos relating to the Chris Watts murder case. These videos are just ideas and opinions.
Again, this is for no disrespect or any wrong information. It is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and nothing is factual until proven factual. So I'm just throwing that out there that this is a theory, not factual.
And theories of what could have occurred the night Shanann, Bella, Cece and Nico was murdered. You have to remember, this particular video isn't what I 100% believe happened, and it's just like it says, a theory. On all the evidence, on all the contradictions and coincidences and everything we have in this case.
It should have never
so
been
as you're
taken
watching
away.
it, keep an open mind, and maybe it will spark an idea in your own head of what happened that night. So here it is, theory number 2.
Should look into theory number 1.
Nicholkessinger, Chris Watts' mistress, despised Shanannwatts. She'd got with a man that had everything. Great kids.
I don't think I hated my ex this much. Like, I hate this woman for what she had destroyed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hate my ex and what she's done. Again, I'm not perfect. I did some stupid stuff too. But I'm not, like, the reason why I'm saying it is I loathe and despise this woman. She infiltrated a married man. She knew exactly what she was getting into. She knew who she was talking to. She liked the thrill. Some women out there just love the thrill of 1, destroying things, 2, sneaking, 3, cheating. I mean, she wasn't cheating, but she got to be like that. Like back in the day when you were like younger, like when I was younger, I would like to, I'm not saying I liked it, but well, at that time I did, but sneaking around my parents and hanging out with girls and stuff like that. She likes to do that, but with married men. She destroyed that family. How can she not be held accountable? Gypsy Rose was accountable because she persuaded her man at the time to murdering her mother. Technically, Nicholkessinger did the exact same thing. I'm not going to go into too depth on why I believe that Nicholkessinger should be in prison, because there's tons of videos on my channel that show that just very thing. So go ahead and watch them. But let's continue.
A good house and job and a wife that she was so jealous of.
She wanted
During
everything.
her relationship with Chris, she tried to point out the differences between her and Shanann. Like the
Shanann.
fact that Shanann would like the materialistic things in life and try to insist that she was nothing like this, and that she didn't need the car, the big house, and everything that comes with it.
I mean, technically, you don't really need that stuff. It's a more want than a need. But Shanann worked hard. You can see that she was determined. She was. I mean, look at the first house she had. This house she built. Like, I'm not gonna lie. If it wasn't for Shanann, I don't think Chris would have the amount of good things that he had. But she fought hard and worked hard. You can see in all of her videos. She made headlines in the Thrive industry. But then people will sit there and say, "Oh, it's her fault." Chris was the victim. Is Chris deceased? Is Chris's family still around? Yes. As in his parents, he can talk to them. Shanann's parents can't talk to her anymore, or their grandbabies.
She was already planting the seed in Chris's head.
She planted
Kessinger would frequently ask Chris if he'd spoken to his family, his mum and dad, enforcing the idea that Shanann had created.
That's another thing I wanted to get into. I know I keep pausing, but you guys don't want me to talk while the person's talking. But a lot of you guys want me to do a video on if the Watts, Ronnie and Cindy, knew about Nicholkessinger. I mean, would it really matter? Would it really be anything of a difference if they did know? Probably not. But in all retrospect, it would be definitely wrong if they did know and thought it was okay that Chris was committing adultery. What do you guys think? Should I make that video? Comment down below.
A barrier and turmoil between him and his own parents. And Kessinger knew intimate details of Chris's and Shanann's financial situation. She made sure that she was aware of his income and what debt he had, strengthening the idea for Chris to believe that what he had with Shanann was a farce. Chris and Kessinger would frequently talk what their plans would be moving forward with their relationship, including looking for
the green side was what he had with Shanann. The brown side is what he had with NK.
An apartment, and during these conversations, Kessinger was very keen on knowing if Shanann would be living close to Chris, already showing signs, before Chris had even split up with Shanann, that she was the jealous type.
She acted like a toddler. Had a little
I believe
fit.
Early on in the relationship, Chris and Kessinger would discuss what life would be like if he didn't have children or a wife, trying to tease him over to the idea that he would be debt-free with no responsibilities and he could live the life he was sampling with Kessinger.
I can tell you right now, yes, my kids get under my skin. What kid doesn't? I did to my parents. I guarantee you a lot of kids did. But I would not trade anything else in the world with not having kids. Like, yeah, okay, you're going to have your freedom. You're going to have your you get to do whatever you want without kids. But I would not trade it for anything in the world than to be with my kids. Like, I don't know what, like, if you guys don't have kids, I understand a lot of people don't want kids, and that's okay. But if you have kids, you're committed until they're 18 and they move on. Will you stop being a parent? No, you're a parent for life. You decide to do the act of snooky kind of stuff. You're going to, and you have a baby. It's not a death sentence. It's not a jail sentence. You have been given the honor of raising and giving this child life. So take care of that one. But then Chris decides to take them away. Chris decides to take his Shanann, his wife, away. For what? This woman? NK? I like, there's days that I think about that he chose her over Shanann. It's like trading in a jalopy, or no, it's like trading in a Porsche or Ferrari for jalopy. A beat up, run down car that's falling apart. I don't mean to be that harsh, but I'm so sick of this woman just living her life free. She's enjoying it. What about Shanann? What about little Bella that could be in middle school or well, technically, yeah, she would have been just coming into middle school here soon. If she would have been 11, that's not middle school yet, but Celeste, like they could have had lives, children of their own, get married, graduate. They ain't gonna get that because of this woman and Chris.
And when Shanann and the kids went to stay with her parents for 5 weeks, Chris was supposed to be staying at home, but the thing is, he wasn't at home.
Here's what then
He was
came.
constantly, every day, every night at Kessinger's apartment. She made sure that he had no reminders of what his actual family was, no pictures on the walls, no reminders of the things at home he'd bought with Shanann. Kessinger was isolating him from all these things like a predator, keeping him away so that she could poison his mind, and Chris was a willing victim.
She's like a viper.
That Kessinger and Chris openly spoke, maybe in the beginning as a joke about getting rid of his family, fantasizing about a life without everything they used to hold dear. Because on the Saturday the 11th of August, he went to a restaurant called the Lazy Dog with Kessinger, and Chris to this day regrets out of all the things
This is where I think they finally finalized their plans. Was that the Lazy Dog?
He's ever said. This event of him going to the Lazy Dog is one of the biggest ones he wished he'd never done.
I wonder if they have surveillance of them sitting down. I wonder if you could have, there's actual people out there that can read mouths. Like, I wonder if that's possible, if they could have done that. I mean, that's far-fetched, but I mean, is that possible?
So you have to ask yourself why this event of simply going to a restaurant with his mistress 2 days before his kids and wife was murdered.
Because he was even trying to hide it.
Why this was so paramount to what happened 2 days later. Well, one of the theory is that him and Kessinger fine-tuned their idea and their plan to once and for all to rid him of his wife.
Which
And in this theory,
agree.
I don't believe the original plan was for Chris and Kessinger to kill his kids.
I don't think so
I
either.
believe the original plan was to kill Shanann, but something went wrong. So it brings us to Sunday, the 12th of August, the night before the murders. Chris and Kessinger were on the phone, finalising the finer details to their plan.
How do 11-minute
In
phone call?
interviews after everything occurred, both Chris and Kessinger deny remembering what the conversation was about. But I believe they both definitely know exactly what they were talking about. Because you have to ask yourself, why deny knowledge of the conversation happening in the first place if there was nothing criminal being discussed?
Exactly, he is right.
So, Kessinger and Chris had their plan. They would wait until Shanann came home from a work trip.
Which another theory is that Nicole was there the entire time. Which is definitely another far-fetched, but again, we won't know until Chris opens his big dumb mouth.
One idea is that Kessinger was waiting in the basement until Chris did what he thought he had to do, and she would help him clean up. And when Chris was arrested, he didn't have any defensive marks on him at all. So I believe Chris waited until Shanann fell asleep and choked her out from behind, either using his hands or his arm to put her in a chokehold.
She didn't fight,
and
which
snuff
is
the life from Shanann.
I call
But it is
BS.
my fear that something went wrong. The kids heard the commotion in Chris and Shanann's bedroom, and either both or one of them came in and saw him doing what he was doing to Shanann.
He didn't want them talking.
And chriswatts now knew he could never have the life he wanted with Kessinger because there was now witnesses to him murdering his wife. It was Bella and Cece. And the only way out of this mess that he had created was that his kids could not be alive to testify against him as witnesses. Chris knew he wouldn't be able to kill his own children, but he had a partner in his devious plan. She was waiting downstairs in the basement ready. Kessinger and Chris knew that to get away with what they'd just done, they couldn't have any witnesses, including his children. So one of them would have to murder Bella and Cece. So it is my theory that Kessinger was the one that smothered Shanann and Chris's children
That's
And
what
when
I
Chris
think.
said in an interview later on that he would never hurt his children, and he was adamant about this fact, I believe that to be true. But it was, in fact, Kessinger that did do it.
She literally went Shanann. And she emphasized her emotions, like why when she talked about the kids. Like, who does that? Like just talk normal as a human being. And she talked about these little itty bitty girls. Like, she was almost doing it as like a sarcasm, as you will.
So in the early hours of Monday morning, with the help of Kessinger, Chris prepared the bodies of his wife and kids and put them in his truck. Chris's neighbour Nate, his CCTV footage picked up Chris leaving that morning, and some say, including myself, you can see a person leaving the house, which is a woman, who I believe to be Kessinger.
I think
She followed Chris out to the worksite, Survey 319, but before this she made a quick phone call to her good friend Jim.
which she did call to Milwaukee, Wisconsin at 6:15 that morning, I think it was. The only time that she called that morning, or not that morning, but in Frederick, Colorado, it pinged that morning. That's not a coincidence. I'm telling you, man, there's something there and we can't find it because nobody's talking about it.
Either to confide in him what had just happened,
Law enforcement
or
wise.
to tell him that the plan had gone wrong, and that he was fully aware of Chris and Kessinger's plan in the first place. But either way, she made that phone call outside the Watts house that morning. That is a fact. And by the time Chris and Kessinger had got to the worksite, they had very little time to dig a shallow grave, dispose of the kids' bodies, all before work colleagues turned up. So in the time he had to do it all, it can't have possibly been done alone. There's also evidence from Chris's phone he didn't walk up and down the oil battery steps. So was this Kessinger that walked up them steps and disposed of Bella and Cece in the oil batteries, and it's Chris that dug and buried Shanann's body?
And she
It's
did
my
that.
opinion in this theory.
That's what I think is Chris was taking care of Shanann, burying her, digging the hole, while somebody, focusedly on Nicholkessinger, was taking care of the unfortunate murder of those little baby girls.
I also believe that the bombshell information that Kessinger provided law enforcement was that she was aware of the murders. She knew exactly where they needed to look and struck a deal with law enforcement for her information and involvement in it all. And she simply just broke first, and she threw Chris under the bus, approaching them first and cutting a deal. Remember, this
Why
is
else did the other guy get canned? We just found that out the other day yesterday, that that other investigator, the one who was interrogating her those few times, he was let go, or he was removed from the case. Did he get too close? Did he bribe? Did he do things under the table? We don't know. That's not released.
only a theory, but with this case from day one, things didn't make sense. The official story and interviews with all involved don't add up. It doesn't make sense why a seemingly loving husband and dad would do this, but once Kessinger got her claws into him and planting seeds of doubt and ideas of a life he could have with her, it doesn't make sense that she was present at the Watts house that morning, but yet in interviews it wasn't even asked about. It doesn't make sense that Chris killed his kids if all he wanted to be is to be with Kessinger. It doesn't make sense that the oil site, Chris's data doesn't show him walking up and down the steps. It doesn't make sense that he says if it wasn't for meeting Kessinger or going to the lazy dog,
he said those words,
his family would still be alive. It doesn't make sense that if Kessinger's friend Jim could provide her with an alibi, that she was adamant to leave him alone.
She had no alibi.
And leave him out of the investigation. All I know is that what law enforcement told us and what mainstream media wants us to believe is not what actually happened. And somewhere within these theories and other creators come up with ideas, they'll contain the truth somewhere. I'm Truth Untold. Thank you for watching.
Bravo. Definitely very good selection and choice of how he worded that. I've thought about it. I've thought about a whole bunch of different theories and opinions and stuff like that. Ones that could be plausible, ones that are completely out of the norm. This is one of those that I definitely do understand that it could be possible. The girls were never supposed to be harmed, but unfortunately, they somewhat saw that their mom was being taken away. The times that we said how many, or I should say, reword this. How many times did we state that Chris didn't have enough time out there by himself to do all what he did? We've seen different phone calls that were made, text messages, people that have been interviewed, but again, a lot of it has not been interviewed. Even Tammy, the CBI agent, said they weren't done. They still had tons of more to do. But DA Rourke decided to shut it down and claim that they're done because they got their main man, which was supposed to be in middle of November and got moved to the front of November, shockingly, on November 6th, the day of elections. I don't feel like I want to be one of those people that, like, people that think about aliens and, like, you have like this wall and then it's got red marks all over it and like this, like somebody that's completely gone crazy about this case. I know, I have a feeling in my gut and my soul that something is 100,000% off. And I just feel something in my, again, body, mind, and soul that NK had something to do with it. In the murdering of the children. Maybe that one was true that Chris said. He couldn't murder those children. Did they DNA swab his hands? Some people say they did, but where's the evidence for us to look at? Like in the 2,000 pages of that directory affidavit and stuff like that, did we even get to read, or was it even in there? I read all of it. Just under 2,000 pages. And I'm just still flabbergasted that she's living her free life. She's alive. So, comment your guys' thoughts down below. Let me know if this is something that you guys think is plausible. Does it come up with any other light bulbs? Was there any other theories that you have come up with? Respectful theories. Because when it comes to the ones that are blaming the deceased or stating other weird, I have no idea. I've seen some weird things. And I'm not even going to go there. But definitely let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button on obvious reasons of hopefully one day finding 100% justice in this case. And don't forget to subscribe on both channels. Link is in the description. And please take care and keep nerding on. And we'll see you guys next time.